And I am currently in Vegas at the Stand With Us conference, Pesachim, with a whole bunch of incredible Jews from all around the world talking about Eretz Yisrael and what we can do for Eretz Yisrael. So the most important thing, of course, that we can do, at least right now, with our Chabura, is keeping up learning. That Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach, we should be zocher that all of everything that we do should be schuyas for our brothers and sisters in Eretz Yisrael, and hatzlacha for Hashem and His people. Today we are catching up for Shabbos Kodesh, for those that missed. For Shabbos Kodesh, the 25th of Adar, and we are holding on Daf. We're learning Daf Kuf Chaf Amud Aleph, just a few amudim away from the end of the Masechta, and we left off after discussing the machlokas between Rav and Shmuel with regards to the definition of Afikomen. We had noted that the Mishnah told us, this is on Kuf Yotes Amud Beis, and the Gemara asked the question, my Afikomen, and Rav says, they're not to leave at all. Don't go from your Chabura to another Chabura, because you might end up eating there, and that would be a problem. And Shmuel says, it means eating after the Korban Pesach / matzah bisman hazeh, and we will see that discussion. But Rav says that it means moving, which is a preamble to the prohibition against eating, and Shmuel says no, it just means eating. You're not allowed to eat in another even in the same location. And the Gemara at the bottom of Kuf Yotes Amud Beis now asks the question as follows: maybe this supports the opinion of Shmuel. The brisa that says the following: Hasuf Ganin, which is today what we would call Sufganiyot, which is probably a miscalculation of language interpretation, but Sufganin are some kind of spongy cakes, Vadu Shanim and honey cakes. Eskeritin. Eskeritin is some other kind of sweet matzah thing. Adam a person can fill up their stomach with those things, meaning these are all matzah meal oriented things, not actual matzah's mitzvah. Adam a person can fill up their stomach with them, so long as you have kazayis of matzah at the end, meaning you got to finish with your matzah. Ba'achrona at the end, that's where you have to eat your matzah. But you don't have to be concerned about the matzah that you eat at the beginning of the meal. So there seems to be a support for Shmuel that says, like we paskin today, that you, as long as you have your matzah at the end, you can have whatever you want throughout the meal, matzah meal things and the like. Those that are machmir and gebrach notwithstanding. Says the Gemara, no, loimi bayikamar. He's saying, and not only, the Bryce is not telling you that we paskin like Shmuel. It says, loimi bayibari shoyna dicha achel te'oven. Aval ba'achroina dilma asel mechal achilagasa. Emalai kamash malai. It says the Gemara, no, this could be a totally different discussion. The Bryce is saying, aloimi bayibari shoyna, meaning if you eat your matzah at the beginning of the meal, you fulfilled your obligation. Because then you are eating with an appetite. But if you only have a kazayis of matzah, you only had a kazayis of matzah at all throughout the whole seder, meaning you're in pressing circumstances, and all that you have is kazayis of matzah per person. But if you ate that at the end, maybe we are worried that you would end up maybe it'll be that that you fill up with other things, and then you're going to be eating a chilagasa. You're going to be eating in a way that is not fulfilling the mitzvah. Emalai. So we come along to say no, that's not the problem. That's not a problem. Kamash malan, that you are allowed to eat other things during the meal. We're not concerned that you would not be able to fulfill the matzah because of a chilagasa. Says the Gemara, Mazutra matni hachir. Mazutra taught it this way. Amar Rav Yosef, Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel. Says Rav Yosef in the name of Rav Yehuda in the name Shmuel, maftirin achar hamatzah afikomen. That one is allowed to conclude after the matzah with afikomen. What exactly does that mean? You can conclude after the matzah afikomen. Name a Messiah, maybe this supports. Ein maftirin achar pesach afikomen. Achar pesach aval achar matzah maftirin. Maybe this this supports him to say that after the Korban Pesach you don't have afikomen, but after matzah after matzah you wouldn't be allowed to have afikomen. Meaning you could have something to eat after the afikomen. So it's lo mibai. No. This is also lo mibai. Lo mibai achar matzah. The lo nafish time after matzah for sure. For sure, you wouldn't be able to eat anything else because matzah doesn't have very strong taste, so that would be washed out. The taste of the matzah is going to be weak, but the taste of the pesach is going to be strong. I'll be tasting fleshings in my mouth for hours later, so nothing to be concerned with. Kamash malan, that is not the case. Basically, we have a brisa that raises an objection here. Hasuf garmav dushanim va eskritin. Adam amalik reisim hemel vachi yochal sheyochal kezais matzah ba'achrona. Ba'achrona in barishona loy. So let's understand this brisa. What we've just said is that you can fill yourself up with all of these things as long as you have a kezais matzah at the end. Ba'achrona in at the end, yes. But at the beginning, no. So we said, "Let me buy come." This is let me buy as well. Let me buy a barishona dikachel le'te'aven v'achrona de'asel meicha achilagasa ema like kamash malan, and that would be the same concern for Rav as well. Meaning that we are concerned that you might have imagined that we would be concerned about achilagasa, but we are not concerned about achilagasa, and therefore the so far it is inconclusive. Meaning Rav holds his opinion and Shmuel holds his opinion, and both of them can interpret the brises according to their shittas. Says the Gemara as follows: Amar Rava says, this has enormous ramifications. Bismanasa. Amar Rava says, Matzah bismanasa da'araisa umar derabanan, which is how we paskin. Matzah today is a din da'araisa, it's a chiv da'araisa, and matzah and maror is derabanan. So the Gemara asks the question: Ma'ishna maror? Why would you say maror is different? The pasuk says, "Hal matzah." You have to eat the Korban Pesach with matzah and maror. Bisman the ika Pesach yesh maror. Bisman the leka Pesach leka maror. When there is a Korban Pesach, that's where you eat maror. And when there is no Korban Pesach, then you don't eat maror. So this is well, I don't understand. Matzah nami agasiv al matzah sumrar. With the matzah, it also says al matzah sumrarim. That's the same pasuk. So how would you be able to say that the maror is not the rabban? It's only the rabban until the matzah is the raisa? Says the Gemara, matzah mehader hader beikra. No, the Torah speaks about mehader hader beikra. The Torah speaks about the Torah speaks about matzah in multiple locations. Says the Torah be'erev teichlu matzahs that you have to eat matzahs in the evening. That is not included. Be'erev teichlu matzahs, that is not included, including maror, and that is not including Korban Pesach. That's a separate din. Be'erev teichlu matzahs. Says Gemara, Achbar Yaakov Amar, Echad Zeh ve'Echad Zeh d'Rabbanan. Who says Achbar Yaakov? Yeah, but that doesn't help because I hold that both matzah and maror bismanaseh d'Rabbanan. Well, hold on a second. Ella hakasi be'erev teichlu matzahs, but your Torah also says be'erev teichlu matzahs. How come you don't think that means that you have to have matzahs bismanaseh d'Oraisa? Says no, I need that to explain the din for a person that's tameh. Meaning, it wasn't always the case, as we have learned many times throughout this Masechta, that everybody got to bring Korban Pesach. There were lots of opportunities for a person to either be tamei or he was far away, so he couldn't bring Korban Pesach. This because I would have thought, Kevin the Pesach le'achli, since he's not eating Korban Pesach matzah and maror, nami le'lecho, he wouldn't be eating matzah and maror. Kamash malan, that is not the case. Now, that phrase that matzah maror. So does that include maror or does that not? So that is a machlokes whether or not maror is included in this discussion because, well, does that mean in the days of the Beis Hamikdash, if a person didn't bring a Korban Pesach, that they would be chayiv in matzah and maror? And the question is, well, then why would you be chayiv in maror if you weren't bringing a Korban Pesach? But that is what to discuss. Says for Rava, and according to Rava, Amar lach, he would say to you, Tamei v'shehayu b'derech chayka lo tzarich kra. A tamei and a person that is far away doesn't need a pasuk to include them in having to eat matzah. Because he's certainly no worse off than an Ariel and a Ben Nechar. An Ariel and a Ben Nechar that are chayiv in matzah, but an Ariel is not able to bring Korban Pesach. So what are you going to do? A guy doesn't have a bris milah, and you're not for any fault of his own. For example, if he had two brothers that died as a result of a bris milah, so he is not obligated in bris milah because of sakanas nefashos. Nevertheless, he cannot bring a Korban Pesach. Says Rava, but obviously he's going to have to bring. Obviously, he's going to have to eat matzah. So if he's going to eat matzah, the person that's b'derech chayka, he's going to have matzah as well. You don't need a pasuk to tell you this. The Tanya, as the Brisa tells us, Kol Ariel lo yochel bay. No Ariel should eat from it. Bay eno oichel. From it he cannot eat. Aval oichel b'matzah u'marar. But he can eat the matzah and the marar. Meaning, the Ariel is not able to eat from the Korban Pesach, but he has to eat the matzah and marar. V'idach and Rav Acha bar Yaakov ksiv b'hai uksiv b'hai. There's something written here and something written there. Utzrichi. And you need both. Meaning, there's two psukim. You have a tummy person cannot be learned from a ben nechar because the tummy is able to bring Pesach for Pesach Sheni, and then he would be able to eat his matzah and maror there. But a ben nechar is not able to bring Korban Pesach Sheni no matter what. I mean that's a non-Jew is not able to have Pesach Sheni then. Sorry, Ben Nechar is meaning Ben Nechar, meaning somebody that is a murmur, somebody that's given up on his Yiddishkeit. The Tosfos here points out, Ein lefarish by Ein chayiv le'echol. You cannot say that it's not chayiv to eat. Ella vade chayiv le'echol. Da chayiv b'chol mitzvos. He's chayiv to eat matzahs, like he's chayiv in all the mitzvahs. And she'ein roitze. He's not going to. That's v'nir lefarish the mari b'yishol mumar b'shas shchita. Somebody that is yishol mumar, he gave up his Yiddishkeit. He's not from b'shas shchita, when the shchita carbon was happening. Because of also tshuva, then he did tshuva. That's the concern that Rav Acha bar Yaakov is having. So you cannot learn from a tamei to a ben nechar, and therefore you wouldn't be able to discuss what they are to somebody that is b'derech chayka, and therefore the person that is b'derech chayka, the pasuk is telling you that they have to eat matzah and maror. You cannot learn from a tamei and a ben nechar. Says the Gemara, Tani kavasi the Rava. We have learned in the Brisa like Rava. What does Rava tell us in the Brisa? 6 days you will eat matzahs. Uva yom hashvi'i, and on the seventh day, atzeres la Hashem elokecha, and the seventh day is a gathering for Hashem your God. My shvi rishus, just like the seventh day, there is no obligation to eat matzah. That's rishus. Av sheishis yomim rishus. So too, the other 6 days are rishus. There's no obligation to eat matzah the other 6 days. My timer. What's the reason that I would read this like this? Says the Gemara, Hevi David Shayu Bichlal, because this was something that was in a general rule. V'yatza min haklal lelamed, and it came out of the general category, meaning you have a general rule, and then you have something that is excluded from that rule. It doesn't just come to teach about itself. It's teaching about the entirety of the klal. So when the pasuk says that for 6 days you should eat matzah, and then the pasuk says, and the seventh day you should eat, and the seventh day is a special day for Hashem, that means that what we have learned about the seventh day, that matzah rishus, is now going to reflect on the 6 days beforehand. Now, this is where the proof for Rava is coming. Yochel af laila rishon rishus. Maybe that would also mean that the first night of Pesach, it is a rishus as well. Talmud the pasuk says al matzah umararim yachlu, that on matzah and maru you should eat it, meaning the Korban Pesach. Eli ela bizman shebeis hamikdash kayam. I only know that this is during the days of the Beis Hamikdash. Bisman she'ein Beis Hamikdash kayim, in times that the Beis Hamikdash is not around, minayin. How do I know that I still have to eat matzah and marar? Talmud Lomar, or specifically matzah. Talmud Lomar be'erev taychlu matzos, in the evening of that first night of Pesach, you should eat matzahs. Hakasav kav chayva. Then the Torah instituted that this should be a chayva, and that is indeed how we paskin bisman hazeh, that matzah is the eraisa because the pasuk be'erev taychlu matzos, and mar is the rabbanon because there is no pasuk that tells you that mar bisman hazeh still needs to be consumed. And Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach, we will record the next Amud, catching up for Sunday. Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach, we'll send that out in a little bit, and hoping that everybody's doing well. And I will see everybody, Be'ez Hashem, back in Boca on Wednesday as we begin. On Wednesday, we'll be beginning Maseches Shkalim. So get ready, and we will see you then. Have a beautiful day.